In a time when famine swept across the land of Israel, food was scarce and hunger was common. Even the prophets of God, men who devoted their lives to serving him, felt the weight of this hardship. It was during this difficult season that the prophet Elisha returned to the town of Gilgal, where a group of young prophets, known as the sons of the prophets, gathered to learn and grow under his guidance. As Elisha sat among them, teaching the word of the Lord, the hunger in the room could no longer be ignored. The men were weak from lack of food, yet hopeful, trusting that God would provide as he always had. Elisha turned to his servant and said, "Put on the large pot and cook some stew for these men." Eager to obey, one of the young prophets went out into the fields to gather ingredients. The land was dry and unforgiving, but he searched until he found a wild vine growing among the bushes. Hanging from it were unfamiliar gourds, large and green, appearing useful to the hungry eye. Not knowing whether they were safe or dangerous, he gathered as many as he could, driven by desperation rather than certainty. When he returned, he sliced the wild gourds and dropped them into the pot of stew. The meal cooked, and soon the aroma filled the room. At last, food was ready. The stew was poured out, and the men began to eat. But after only a few bites, panic broke out. One of the prophets cried aloud, "Man of God, there is death in the pot!" The stew was poisonous. What was meant to give life now threatened to take it. Fear spread through the room. In a time of famine, this meal might have been their only chance to eat, yet now it could kill them. All eyes turned to Elisha. Unlike the others, Elisha did not panic. He did not shout or rush. Calm and confident in the power of God, he gave a simple command: "Bring me some flour." Flour, an ordinary ingredient, powerless on its own, was brought to him. Elisha took the flour and threw it into the pot of poisoned stew. Then he said, "Serve it to the people to eat." The men hesitated. Moments earlier, the pot meant death, but they trusted the word of the prophet and the God he served. They ate again. This time, there was no fear, no sickness, no harm. The poison was gone. The scripture tells us plainly, there was nothing harmful in the pot. God had performed another miracle through his servant Elisha, not with fire from heaven or thunderous signs, but through obedience, faith, and a simple act that displayed his power to restore what was broken. In a season of famine, God proved once more that he is the giver of life, able to turn death into nourishment, danger into provision, and fear into peace. Key message: God's power is not limited by scarcity or danger. What seems deadly in human hands can be healed by divine intervention.